Good afternoon, I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. A special welcome to those of you watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can download our One Spot Media app from the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1, followed by the words Spot Media. We begin with news on the wet weather affecting the island since last night into today. The Met Office says a trough across the Western Caribbean is causing the showers. It says the trough should remain in the area for another few days. But that's no respite, as a frontal system is also expected to be near Jamaica by this weekend. The forecast is for widely scattered showers, mainly across northern parishes. This afternoon, the experience of residents in Old Harbour Bay, St. Catherine, who wasted no time in evacuating their homes as news spread of a tsunami warning for some Caribbean countries, including Jamaica, Tuesday night. The warning followed a 7.8 magnitude earthquake in the Caribbean Sea just north of Honduras yesterday evening. And despite the warning being lifted for Jamaica late last night, residents only started returning home this morning. In a bid to seek higher ground, scores of residents moved inland from the bay last night. Owen Blake explained that the tsunami warning was a shock for residents.
Very panicked. Some people start tremble. Telling you, some people start crying too, because those who have nowhere to go and that they feel very upset about it. Almost 90% of the people in Old Harbour Bay moved last night up by the Old Harbour, by the near town in Old Harbour. That's where all of us, some take taxi, some walk foot, some run, some take truck, bus and all that. So all of us moved to the Old Harbour for safety.
Port Maria Mayor Richard Creary has come out in agreement with calls for a long-term solution to address the drainage in the town, as flooding continues to be a problem whenever it rains in St. Mary. The school administration of Port Maria Primary in particular is again appealing to the authorities for the matter to be fixed following the latest flooding on the weekend. TVJ's Krista Campbell has the details.
Like many communities in St. Mary, the Port Maria Primary School has been impacted by the recent rains. On the weekend, the entire grade 3 block was flooded, and it's not the first time. However, school administrators took a decision to continue classes, merging grades 2 and 3.
Based on dialogue with the public health department, the building was washed. And I definitely have to give a big thank you to the Port Maria Fire Department. They were extremely instrumental in not only washing the grade 3 block, but the schoolyard as well, including the school gate.
The principal says based on the frequency of the flooding, something will have to be done about the grade 3 block.
We'll have to establish dialogue with our stakeholders, including the Ministry of Education, to see exactly what can be done to elevate that block.
So we put the matter to the mayor of Port Maria, Richard Creary, who agreed that the drain close to the school is inadequate.
It's not a simple fix in that on top of that culvert you have houses and business places in a place called Crane Park in Port Maria. So it's not, in order to have that drain widened, which what really needs to happen, you need to have the drain continue at 12 feet till it reaches the river. But in order to do that, you would have to probably purchase some homes and so on and have relocation, etc.
Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
And Port Maria Mayor Richard Creary has warned of a threat to a section of the new North-South Highway due to the continuous rainfall and subsequent flooding in St. Mary.
At a place called Deer Hall, which is close to Haywood Hall. The highway itself is actually being undermined by that river. When you look under the highway, where it has walls to both sides of the highway, everything under about 3 feet under the road is now undermined. So we could lose that whole section of the North Coast Highway, which is of serious concern. I took some pictures sent to the National Works Agency. I know they are now treating with the matter, but if we continue to have rain, we could lose that section of the road.
And following several days of heavy rainfall, 2 roads in St. Mary have been closed. They are the main roads from Border to Coffee Gully and Islington to Martins. Embankments on both roads have collapsed, and the NWA is asking motorists traveling along the Coffee Gully main road to use the alternative route through Plattfield and Mount Vernon. Meanwhile, in Portland, the NWA says the roads from Moortown to Cornwall Barracks and Bourbon to Maidstone remain impassable. A section of the Bourbon Road is under several feet of water. Residents are using rafts to traverse the affected area. A massive landslide continues to affect the road from Moortown to Cornwall Barracks. Specialized equipment will be taken to the area to help reopen the roadway. And farmers in Portland, St. Mary and St. Anne have been reporting huge losses from the heavy rainfall. But Minister without portfolio in the Agriculture Ministry, J.C. Hutchinson, says the consistent rainfall is preventing the ministry from assessing the damage to the agricultural sector.
No, we haven't been able to get any estimates yet. The rain is still falling in roughly 3 parishes, Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne. And as a result, we haven't been able to have the officers go out there and estimate any damage. Some of the areas have also been cut off, and it's going to be difficult for them to really go and find out exactly what the damage that has been done over there.
The National Works Agency, NWA, says at this time it cannot specifically say whether road conditions were responsible for Monday night's fatal crash involving a market truck along the Mandela Highway in St. Catherine. The crash claimed the lives of 2 persons, while another 11 were injured. Speaking on RJR's Beyond the Headlines on Tuesday, NWA Communications Manager Stephen Shaw said he is still trying to find out what caused the crash. However, the police, as well as some motorists, believe inadequate lighting was a contributing factor. Superintendent in charge of operations at the Highway and Traffic Division, Courtney Kubri, said the road needed reflectors and signs to warn motorists. Mr. Shaw admitted that the area is poorly lit due to persons stealing the streetlights, but he has assured them that measures will be put in place to help motorists.
It is dark, but we have things there. The reflectorized barriers are there. The cat's eyes are on the road, and the road being dark is not dissimilar to, let us say, the toll road. But you have reflectors in a similar way along the Mandela on the toll roads. The section where the accident would have happened, we don't have any impediments, say, in that area. It's a straight road. It's not like you're going around a corner. It's a very straight road. There's no activity really taking place on the road itself. We have to understand exactly what went down. And I think Superintendent Kubri will know very well. I am saying that he might have been a little bit premature.
The 16-year-old stepson of a police corporal was fatally shot Tuesday night after the car in which he and his stepfather were traveling was shot up in Irving, St. James. The policeman, who is assigned to the Highway and Traffic Division, was driving the vehicle. It's reported that the cop was in the area to pick up his stepson from Bible studies. The boy reportedly exited a taxi, was about to enter the car when shots were fired from behind bushes. The policeman fired back, but the gunman escaped. He later discovered that his stepson, 16-year-old Mark Williams, had been shot. He took him to the Cornwall Regional Hospital, where he died. TVJ News understands that the policeman is involved in a case in which he shot and injured a man he said he saw kill someone in Ironshore, St. James in 2016. That court case started last Tuesday. And investigators are trying to find a motive and those responsible for the murder of an elderly couple in Retreat, St. Thomas. They have been identified as Melbourne Flake, believed to be in his 80s, and his wife, Etta, who was in her 70s. It's reported that they recently returned from overseas. The police say sometime before 11 o'clock Tuesday morning, workmen went to the couple's house to carry out repairs. After calling and not getting a response, the workmen contacted the couple's relatives. The bodies, which had signs of trauma, were found in separate rooms inside the house. There were no signs of forced entry. The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, is probing the circumstances which led to a man being shot by police during a protest over bad roads and lack of water in Pusey Hill, Manchester on Monday. The injured man has since been released from hospital and his injuries not considered serious. But the incident has residents calling for action against the police involved, even as they still appeal to the authorities to address the problem with roads and water. TVJ's Krista Campbell has more.
Militant policemen marching on streets in Pusey Hill, Manchester Monday morning. Guns in hand and on occasion gunshots piercing the air, sending protesters and other residents scampering in different directions. It was the scene of a protest over bad roads and the absence of piped water. Things got heated following a confrontation between the police and protesters. The end result, a man was shot in the foot. A woman who says she narrowly escaped being shot herself gave her recollection of what happened.
Them couldn't get for pass down there so this morning, right? So them come out and then just start lick everybody with them back now something. So when they see one time they lick them now, nobody now back down same way, then start bust be a shot. So I stand up over the wall over there so now, and a youth he stand up side of me and him fling 2 stones or something. So me stand up over there so now they know see what the youth done, They say, oh, you have fling the stone and shoot after me. So when time me jump off now and me jump off and me jump on a lady, the youth would stand up behind me and him get the shot instead of me. They run down one man, go up there so, and shoot out the lady window and I run through woman yard or something I try shoot after one man.
Residents say the police seem to have been upset because protesters kept reblocking the roads as they were cleared. But Inspector Alphonse Tyndale said he got a different report.
I have received reports that there's a group of police officers traveling from Victoria Town coming up to attend to work in the mines in the same police area. And reaching Pusey Hill, it is alleged that they were attacked by the residents. And I also received reports that gunshots were fired and one person is injured.
The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, has taken statements as it probes the incident, but returning to the issues which sparked the protests.
Patrol is in the road, but at the road in the patrol in this instance, and we have no representative. This man you see a truck come with a load of mall, so then come to fix the road. And mall can't fix the road, a Barber Green and Gritwin will fix the road, so we can't fix with mall and cement.
We have to use tank water and a crack whiskey and the baby can't go to school. Water, make them vomit and something, we can't drink water.
Meanwhile, several students who were either unable to attend school or were sent home early because of the protests returned for a normal school day on Tuesday. But a female student of Winston Jones High laments that Monday's protests were a setback.
Our exams were supposed to start today and we have CXC coming up. So we lost a lot of time today.
Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, says it's awaiting word from the Prime Minister before deciding its next move in the ongoing wage talks. News came on Tuesday that Prime Minister Andrew Holness had intervened in the wage negotiations with the teachers to prevent them from acting on their threats of disruptions in the education sector. The JTA has reported that it's pleased with the latest negotiations, but would not give details. Speaking on TVJ Smile Jamaica on Wednesday, JTA President Georgia Waugh Richards said the Prime Minister has promised to respond to the teachers by Friday. However, she warned that the JTA's Action Committee will be taking action if there is not a better wage offer than the 6% over 2 years.
If it became necessary at a point, then that committee would have been meeting, that committee would have been on high alert. And if it gets to the point where we need to act, then the committee would make its decisions public. So you will agree that we're not there yet. So the committee would actually not have made public declarations yet.
Years after the country was plagued by the chikungunya and Zika viruses, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the country is still facing the brunt of the mosquito-borne diseases. At the opening of a Mosquito Control Research Lab at the University of the West Indies on Tuesday, Dr. Tufton revealed that the country has had to spend over $6 billion treating mosquito-related illnesses since the outbreak of the diseases in 2014 and 2016, respectively. It's why the ministry is intensifying strategies to eradicate the mosquito population across the island. TVJ's Kalisha Williams reports.
Over the past years, the country has seen an increase in several mosquito-borne diseases. The emergence of diseases like chikungunya and Zika viruses in 2014 and 2016 respectively continue to have serious implications on the country's health sector.
It is not a matter of if there will be another outbreak, but it's when. So we need to be ready.
Which is why the Health Ministry has launched a Mosquito Control Research Lab at the University of the West Indies to monitor the deadly pests. Speaking at the ribbon-cutting ceremony at the University of the West Indies today, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton explained how a national mosquito research lab will be effective.
The opening of the new National Mosquito Control and Research Unit in Secretary demonstrates another significant step to help advance and sustain Jamaica's commitment to mosquito control. The insectary has been equipped with new microscopes, supplies and equipment to advance scientific and operational research.
He pointed out that the country has been losing billions of dollars to treat mosquito-borne diseases, with more than half the population affected over the years.
It is estimated that some 6.6 billion Jamaican dollars, or 0.51% of our GDP, was potentially lost.
Time now for a look at what's coming up in this evening's health report.
In the next edition of the health report, we look at constipation in children.
Even within a particular home, a particular family, siblings may have different patterns of passing stool. So one child may pass stool once every other day, whilst another one may pass stool 3 times for the week. So the fact is that each parent must be aware of the pattern of a particular child. And once he or she is aware of that pattern, then they can aim for that pattern.
That's the health report this evening in Primetime News. And now for today's healthy living tip. A child should see a doctor if he or she is generally affected by poor bowel movements, has blood in the stool, has a fever, is urinating often or finds urinating painful, has a hard time passing a bowel movement after 4 days, and loses some bowel control or starts to soil underwear.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Join us at 7 for the Primetime News package. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.